8,
You're watching
7,
Experience Comic Culture and
6,
Sales.
5,
Streaming live daily to
4,
Facebook, YouTube,
3,
Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
Hello, everybody. It's time to review the books. I'm excited. I'm mostly excited about one that I think Kyle read.
That's not a good sign.
Because Ohana means family.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, goodness. All right, welcome in, everybody. And Triple B is in the house. We're going to review this week's books for you. Like it has been for the last 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 weeks. It's been a little bit smaller release week than usual. I think it's just because it's the beginning of the year and everyone's figuring out the release schedule and they're, saving up their big guns for we get closer to the, March dates. But there are some really good ones this week, so I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I think part of, like, I made the joke that's not a good sign that Miss Jen's looking forward to a book I read. I think part of the problem is that in making that joke, so little has come out that it makes the bad stand out more strongly than when you have some good to offset it with. So when you have something that's good, but like not as great as you had hoped, it drags it all down by comparison. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
It makes you in a bad mood when you read something bad and there's nothing good to counteract it with. So that when you do hit something good, it's like just enough to bring you out of the bad mood. You know?
Hey, Lyle.
Don't listen to anything that Kyle reviews this week, except for I love the way Kyle always does reviews. When he starts, you feel like he's going to like rip it a butt. It's just like, this thing is the worst thing in the universe, except for all these things I loved about it.
Right. Right. Well, because everything's the worst thing in the universe except for the things we like about them.
True.
Mountain Dew is the worst soda in the universe except for the lovely color and the amount of caffeine in it.
It's accurate.
Let's do this thing, Jay.
Oh, yeah. How many of us got to read this? I read mine.
I literally just got it today.
Mine is sitting in a pile somewhere. I might read it by 2027. So.
You know what's so funny is when Dirk got this job, our good friend Dirk Manning, who's written a lot of really great stuff. He tried to give me hints about who he had scored to do the story of. And he gave me hints, but I don't know a lot about wrestling. So he could have, he did that. And I was like, great.
He gave me hints and I guessed after about 8 seconds.
Yeah. See, you're the right person to give that to.
Well, and it's funny because the previous wrestling book he did, he gave me no hints and I guessed. So, it's one of those, he's got to stop giving me hints about stuff.
I got that one over there on my shelf somewhere too.
So I will tell you from this. So you're going to get it from the review from the point of view of me, who my last wrestling match that I watched in full was probably in 1988. When one of my best girlfriends in high school loved watching, and I still like watching those tag team matches. And it's not to say I don't like wrestling now. There's so much stuff I have to do and things I want to do, like reading novels and reading, comic books and that kind of stuff, that it just kind of got pushed to the side. I'm going to watch all the movies that come out, But I will tell you that I really loved reading this because it's written well and in a way that makes you actually care about the person that it's being written about. Their life is very intriguing. they really do have a sit down. It's kind of like you're sitting across the seat from someone at a really good, delicatessen, and they tell you their life story is the way it feels. So even if you don't know what a heel is or any of those other cool wrestling terms I learned today, like I didn't know what it, there's so many things that I was like, I don't know what this means, but you're saying it in a way that I now understand what that position is and what it means. Like, I didn't know that it was a cool thing to be the bad guy. Like, it was cool to be the heel. It was cool to get the poop kicked out of you and not be the hero of.
Bad guys sell tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Bad guys sell merch.
Can't sell merch.
It's why I'm a heel on literally what I do in life.
Yeah.
Gotta put
So what's really funny is, so today is Dirk's birthday.
Yeah, it is. Happy birthday.
I messaged him and I was like, how come it's your birthday, but I got the gift today?
Oh, that's
because I bought him pizza for his birthday 3 or 4 days ago, and so now he's paying everyone back. No, just so you guys know, when I say I'm not going to read this till like 2027, that's part of an ongoing rib with Dirk. That the more he tells me I should read something he's written, the longer I wait. I may or may not be 3/4 of the way done with the book already, but as far as Dirk is concerned, I haven't even opened the Kickstarter package. So look, if you're a wrestling fan, Arn Anderson is a known commodity, right? 4 Horsemen, the inventor of the Spine Buster, father of current indie darling. His son Brock is wrestling on the indies now. He just left AEW. Arn is one of the best wrestling minds that's ever been born. And this is his life story from his perspective. And like I said on EXP Expo about this book, right? There are parts of it, if you watch the film, what Arn remembers and what actually happened, maybe not exactly the same thing. But that's what makes this interesting, right? Because I know how this match ended, and that's not what Arn remembers. So it's always super fun to see the way these stories get told. So I'm excited that Jen got to read it.
Yeah, I mean, I like learning cool things. Like, his name is Arn Anderson. Like, he got the name Anderson because it looks a lot like another Anderson in wrestling, and they're like, "You look a lot like me. You'll be an Anderson." Excellent.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. Another thing that I was excited about this week, mostly because I'm really trying hard to start my love of more DC things, right? And thanks to Tom King, it's pretty easy nowadays to really love them, or, the writing team on Nightwing, that kind of stuff. So Trinity is a great special. It's written in kind of like arcs called The World's Finest. So it's World's Finest Part 1, World's Finest Part 2. So it is Damien, who for some reason he calls Dame the whole time. And then this character, oh no, I knew her name up until like 2 seconds ago. Daughter of Diamond Prince. And Batman, not Bruce. You got all kinds of really cool characters. They're having kind of an adventure featuring the girl there who's trying to kind of like earn her way, I guess, in the culture for the Amazons. They have to like face, like, I think that probably their mother shoots a bullet at them and they have to deflect it or die. And so there's a whole part in there, but the really funny part is like there's whole parts in this book where one of them is babysitting one of the super like kids, and the kid is like fussing about the fact they don't like breadcrumbs in their mac and cheese. They want to have the blue box with the yellow noodles. Of course, everybody knows what that is. The art style is really, really cute. So it's a bunch of really fun. These are young people ribbing each other about they're not the actual Superman. They're not the real Batman. So it's a bunch of teenagers hanging out and trying to figure out their way in the world, even though, Superman's been saying, I've been the Superman for quite a while now. I am the actual Superman. It still gets given.
Is that a new adaptation of Cull?
I don't think so.
Because Cull was Wonder Woman and Batman's daughter from the Dark Multiverse.
No, she's all
Lizzie
hearts and
Prince.
rainbows. And she does have, if you notice there, she does have a dark lasso. That one's kind of cool.
Oh, so then it's Golden Angel. Alyssa Wayne.
Nope.
Lizzie Prince.
Lizzie. It's Lizzie.
Same person.
Oh, sorry. I don't know any better because I'm learning my way through the DCs. But I love this. This one's really long. It's a good pickup. If you don't know anything about any of these characters, it's okay. It's okay. You'll still enjoy it a lot. Oh, it is so cute.
How many times can you say Ohana means family in one comic book?
All the time.
I'll give you a hint. Greg Pak hasn't figured it out yet. Because it's like every fourth dialogue box. You know, and then they have like the Hawaiian word for responsibility. And like, it's like, are you trying to teach me like Polynesian here? I don't know. I thought this was a Lilo and Stitch book. Base level is it's that same fish out of water Lilo and Stitch that it's always been. I don't want to come down like this is a bad book because it's not. It's a fine book. But literally they could have started with the last 4 pages and been better off.
Is it possible, Kyle, if this is aimed at someone, I don't know, a couple decades younger than you?
It's aimed at someone who's never seen Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, so they're trying to fill in all the blanks for you.
Right. They retell you everything that they've ever told you in a Lilo and Stitch movie, cartoon, comic book, manga, anime, anything. They retell you for the first 22 pages. And then the last few pages is where this turns into a unique story. So, again, I don't need to be reminded that Ohana means family or what Lilo and Stitch is, right? I've seen the movies. I've read the books. I love this story.
I have 2 questions.
I would equate this to a Batman book where they're going to tell you a new Batman story, but first you have to live through his parents getting murdered again. It doesn't really add anything to anything, right? So I'm very excited to read issue 2 because of the last 4 or 5 pages of issue 1. The first 3/4 of issue 1 were nothing. And I'm willing to accept that, Lyle, that maybe the focus was for, again, new people who are coming to Lilo and Stitch late. And in that case, it would be fantastic. But for me, someone who you're counting on the sales from, a fan of Lilo and Stitch, you're kind of almost talking down to me in the first 3/4 of the book.
All right, my 2 questions are, does it have Bubbles in it? My favorite characters. Agent Bubbles? Tell me Agent Bubbles is in there!
Ohana means family, Jen.
Ah, so happy.
It's beautiful, by the way.
And then does it star any family members of Lilo's that eat a lot of sandwiches?
Everyone's here.
Ruben!
I will say this, the art is fantastic. But again, it almost feels like if they're counting on the Lilo and Stitch fan base or the Disney adult fan base to bolster their sales, that they spent the most of this book talking down to us. And then they gave us something that's really interesting for issue 2. So we'll see what happens.
Excellent.
So, first off, I didn't realize till I was grabbing the covers, this one doesn't come out till the 7th. But
So what happens when Dan doesn't tell us what's out this week?
so let me start off by saying that much like Superman, when you say the name Conan, to people, most people know who Conan is, even if they're
Giant
not
ginger
into it.
late night.
Yeah, it's either going to be O'Brien or Barbarian. I need to make that clear so when I get to my notes, you understand what I say.
This one's not the ginger. Got it.
No, not the ginger. This is a brutal yet beautiful book. Um, very old school looking art in it. And the story kind of is a good blend of romance, betrayal, lore, bloody battles. And it's a pretty action packed issue. Like, after I think, kind of hard to tell on digital sometimes, but after the first couple of panels, maybe the first page, uh, this thing just hits the ground running. And it's just go, go, go for the rest of the issue. Um, the ending of this was a bit surprising, and it felt like kind of a strange direction. But for me, yeah, I know who Conan the Barbarian is. I know that. But my knowledge from the character is like most of these characters, it's a movie or the cartoon when I was a kid, which was super awesome. You should definitely look up the Conan cartoon. It was crazy. Um, and like a pretty sweet Xbox 360 game trial. Outside of that, I hadn't been reading Conan for years or anything. But that being said, while I don't think this would exactly be new reader friendly, if you're looking for a bloody book about probably the world's most known barbarian, you should definitely check this one out. I gotta find my button. There we go.
Whoa, this is a really awesome book coming straight out. Mighty Morphin number 116, which they said very loudly that book was going to be real pivotal and have a big, big event in it. I'm not going to ruin that book for you because I do want you to go back and find it. So there is a major character that meets their demise in 116 that was big, important to the Shattered Grid storyline. So this is right after that. This was actually written by the Pink Ranger herself. So it is focused on the Pink Ranger, which is awesome. I'm excited about it.
Hashtag not my Pink Ranger.
Not your Pink Ranger? Aw.
That doesn't look like Amy Jo Johnson.
Yeah, no, that was Rachel Wagner, who was the second Pink Ranger.
Okay. So anyway, they're good at writing books because I love this one. So this one puts them as like, this character knows that this previous character has given their life so that she can live, to go and try to find the grid killing, I don't know, I think it's an individual that's just going to destroy the grid. Of course, if the grid goes down, all the morphin is done. So this is a journey that she's taken. She's gotten a coin of light that she's trying to deliver to these, like, I don't know, ancient beings that are part of the universe, and nobody's who they seem. And she has another Pink Ranger who is kind of like an avatar, shows up and is supposed to be her guide and supposed to be, like, help her. She's doing none of those things, but that's kind of like the warrior's journey, right? The hero's journey. So this one's great. It's a standalone book. You don't need to have really anything else. I know it's going to have more to the Power Rangers Unlimited, but I mean, if you know anything about the Power Rangers, you're fine to just jump into this series. And I enjoyed it, even though I've kind of missed the books leading up to 116. I knew enough to be like, I understand what the stakes are.
That's an awesome bow, by the way. I'm looking at that bow and I'm like, that's a dope design for a bow.
Oh, wait till you see what happens with the bow.
Does it transform into a Megazord?
No, but it does turn into stabby things.
Yes.
Oh, this is me too. Okay, so we're at Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer number 5, which if you have loved Carlson's work for a long time, you've already got issue 1 through 6. But this is the awesome books being released by Massive. So you get another chance at them. This is going to be really soon on your TV at, I think, Hulu. So, if you want to have source material, this is the way to do it. It's a very serious look at Harriet, who slays demons and vampires and werewolves and all those kinds of things. So think during her time, it's set in the time of Harriet Tubman that she has to fight all these crazy creatures. So in this one, it's actually her. She's got a family that she's trying to bring to safety. Think Underground Railroad. And this kind of has her have some like flashbacks to, I think this is her mom that they're seeing, because it could be her, but she doesn't go by Harriet, so she has a different nickname if it's her. But you see how she got her abilities. So either her or mom, maybe her mom passed them down to her. But it's really, really great. There's a big twist in it because they come across a group of people that aren't at all what they seem. And it's great art. And if you're not yet reading Harriet Tubman, please go get it. It's really good things. And you'll be supporting a great creator that's been just working his butt off. He deserves all of this success. So.
I'm trying to remember this one. That's my review. No, I'm kidding. So the deal with Drive Like Hell is that I didn't read issue 3. And issue 4 makes no sense at all. Because I didn't read issue 3. Like, it picks up in a whole way different place than I remember being from issue 2. So, unfortunately, I can't give it an honest read, right? I can't give it an honest review because I'm like, what is happening? Why is happening? However, the way Alex Cormack draws the devil sold this book for me in a way that even though I didn't know what the crap was going on, I'm like, yeah, I get it. The way he draws the demons in this book, if they had drawn Sandman this way, Netflix would have ran screaming the other direction when they had to cast, the demons for that show. Like, it's fantastic. Now, I will say this, and like John could probably help you better than I could on this one because I just don't remember the plot. But at this point in issue 4, I don't even care. I just want to stare at the pictures. So if you've been reading it, keep reading it because I feel like this is a important part of the story. If you've missed issues, make sure you read those first before you go back to this one. If you can't, just stare at the pretty pictures because Alex Cormack crushes it. So
100%.
Ooh, that's a great cover. Wow.
And look, it's got a title on it and everything.
And it's the correct number of pages of content.
It was fantastic when I saw that in there. I was like, this comes with covers. Awesome. So, does this book have the things that I usually complain about, such as crossovers?
Fish people.
Kind of, but it does. But this gets a pass from me. This gets a pass because Cindy is the Deadpool of Zenescope, and I'm so here for her, it's ridiculous. What happens when the Goddess of Death gives Cindy the power of death by snapping her fingers? She kills Robin by accident and then goes on a glee-fueled rampage murder spree throughout the Zenescope land.
Spoilers.
Oh, come on, it's Cindy. That's not
She's
spoilers.
not the
Right,
good
but you
guy.
killed my favorite character by accident.
She kills a lot of people in this. Bigger spoilers. Lots of death. And there's they're kind of like cameo kills where you don't really see the character, but there's a piece around her that you're like, I know who that is. Like a top hat or a red hood, things like that. I mean, she's going crazy with this. She is just like kid in a candy store being able to drop people at will. She loves it. Um, there's death, there's jokes, just destruction, and then there's zombies when she figures out she can bring people back by snapping her fingers again. So if she kills somebody, she can let them sit there and rot, snap her fingers again, she has a zombie. There's a really funny bit, and it is kind of spoilery, but it's a really funny bit where she goes to Robin, figures out she can do this, wakes her up, and then when Robin decides, well, I'm going to get my revenge, snaps her back, she falls back down, and then she's like, huh, and then snaps her back up. It's for whatever reason that tickled me. I thought that was hilarious. This is just it's a crazy issue, and like I said, Cindy's stories are always my favorite. I've loved this one since the Princess serial killer one, I believe is the first one I read of her, and she always makes me laugh in everything she's in. This one, it's manic, it's violent, it's funny, and it ends in a way that for me it's so fitting for Cindy. But I also hope in the next issue they show me how she gets out of it, because that's not a dolphin kind of thing that happens at the end.
Oh.
So, like, just if you're a fan of Zenoscope, if you're a fan of Cindy, you need to grab this one. It was awesome. Really, really enjoyed it.
So I read the first issue of the Batman and Robin that's been running, where that's mostly a father and son tale. And so I knew I needed to read this one. So this is their annual. The art is all exactly like it is on that front cover. It's really, really cool and stylized, real dark and gritty. And it all starts out with them deciding that they want to go on a road trip. And it's because one of the bad guys that they capture, is their excuse for doing what they did was like, I just was making money for, I wanted to go on a road trip. And Batman's son says, what's a road trip? So then, of course, Bruce says, let's do this. So the cool thing is that, they show up at the campground and stop for gas at a gas station. And in the gas station, there's like tons of, like this person's missing posters on the wall. And so it quickly becomes like they've got to start detectioning because they can't not, right? And then everything goes super sideways. It's like the campgrounds are more of a hunting ground. If this was Marvel, it'd be Kraven the Hunter related, but it's not. So this one is really, really good. It pays off for you if what you're wanting is to have the continuation of like them trying to have a father-son relationship, but it being still awkward and always results in, them being caught. Like, I thought we weren't going to bring any of our gear and Batman's got some batarangs, Oops.
Do you guys remember when The Weeknd did his comic book Starman?
Oh, then it was like one shot and then it sold out and no one could get it?
Yeah, but that, like, unless you were a fan of The Weeknd, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, because you didn't have the requisite back knowledge. That is not the case here. In fact, I wish I hadn't seen that this is Kid Cudi Presents. Right? Like, I wish I hadn't known that it was related to, an artist that I'm a fan of. Because it would have made this an even more enjoyable experience. But basically, it's a sci-fi space story where Kid Cudi is not technically the main character, but technically not technically. It's totally Kid Cudi as the main character.
Just say it.
But like, he doesn't want you to think it's him. Also, like, Kyle Higgins I'm sure helped a lot. This feels almost like it should exist in the Kyle Higgins universe over there, the Radiant universe
Mm-hmm.
that he has. And maybe it does, and I'm just a moron and didn't pick it up. But again, this was super fun. It seems like it's going to be a pretty good series if it's a series. Just kind of a sci-fi space adventure with sort of an urban bent. And the art was cool. I mean, the art all kind of feels like this cover, where it's all a little raggedy edged, but lots of depth and color, and it works out really well.
I like how there's 2 light sources there. Now I want to know what the light sources are.
Well, you could kind of tell if you look at the trade dress, Miss Jen.
Oh, I don't know where my stuff is. It's around.
What does the word moon have in it that might indicate multiple light sources?
Okay.
Cheese. I don't know.
Right. It's the eyes of the man. If you believe they put a man on the moon, man on the moon.
And it
So-
has Atmani El How on it too. Just like that's cool.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, no, this book is, again, this may be my favorite book of the week. And it shouldn't be because Lilo and Stitch came out, but it may be my favorite book of the week because it just was a fun read.
Pathfinder Wake the Dead. Continuing my I still don't understand Dungeons and Dragons, but I still like these books. I like books based on it for some reason.
Pathfinder isn't Dungeons and Dragons, dude. It's Pathfinder.
Dude, Pathfinder, all those board games, they're all the same to me. Everything is like
Oh, God.
calling everything Coke. I don't play them.
No one can hear you, Kyle. You lost yours.
It feels like most of the books I got this week, though, kind of started off with a bang. he's gone. That's this one starts off with a bloody fight. Like you're dropped right into the action. The party the party are fighting these undead soldiers, and unless you completely destroy the armor of these soldiers, it reanimates them when you think you have them dead.
Oh,
They come back. I thought that was really cool. And then you have this sage who says he's acting on behalf of his spy master, and the spy master kind of looks like Dormammu, flaming skull and everything. This guy's got his own sinister thing going on. And then just when you think all hope is lost for this party, a surprising person comes to their aid. Now, I may not understand any of the language. I don't know a bard from a scout or whatever. But I do know that I enjoy this book. And I have enjoyed the past 3 issues because I think I missed, or 2 issues because I think I've missed one. I enjoy the action and adventure aspect of this book. So it just kind of proves to me that you don't have to be a super fan of something to enjoy something else based off of it. Because like I said, I'm not a whatever Kyle wants to call it, whatever it is.
RPG.
I just see RPG, and I think board games.
Jay, I'm going to send you a Calendly link to schedule your exit interview.
We don't
like
nerd
the book.
shame here, Kyle. We don't nerd shame.
And Vox Machina is actually really great, Ed.
Kind of a lot.
Whatever. Here we go.
Oh, Duke. It's so cool in the back of this issue. It actually says on there, you were not allowed to spoil this issue, which is smart. The things I know about this issue I can share are because if you go and look at former Skybound employee Sean Kirkham's page, he goes by the name Big Clutch. So that's his nickname. So he's super excited because Clutch is in this issue. So, and Skybound is doing it. So, so that's all the spoilers I'm going to get. But in last issue, Duke shows up. He is at odds with everybody. He is not the leader of G.I. Joe in this issue. And so he's being hunted down. And in the last issue, the first issue, he actually sees a Transformer because this is part of the shared Energon universe. So Transformers and G.I. Joe titles are tied together. So he's shows up and tries to, talk to Clutch about what his ordeal is and mentions said giant robot because he doesn't know what it is, right? And, to his credit, Clutch says basically, okay, I don't believe a word you're saying, but I'm still like you, so still with you. So this is a great issue. It has a big finale with another character that you're going to freak out about. And they've done a really good job of kind of like peppering in characters from the other universes, but not making it feel like they're like, hey, I'm going to throw you some Transformers that make no sense. But this one's great. This one's just issue number 2. You should be able to find number 1 out there. And if not, Skybound's doing a really great job of making sure that they have a print rolling for you. Because I know that Duke number 1 sold out. Cobra Commander number 1 sold out. All the Transformers continue to sell out. So Void Rivals, all of those books that you would need to go hunt down, you'll be able to find a print of them out there somewhere.
Okay. I didn't read this whole book because it's like 365 pages. This is an anthology, Underground, the Illustrated Bible of Cursed Rockers and High Priestesses of Sound. The way this book is broken down is there are about 30 different artists talked about in this book, between 6 and 12 pages per artist, depending on how cursed the artist was. And this is non-fiction, except that if you think about rock and roll stars, the truth is stranger than fiction, so it reads like fiction. I read 2, and I'm going to go back and read some more later. I read the one on Sun Ra, who is an idol of mine, and on Townes Van Zandt, who I know very well, not personally because he died before I was born, but one of my dear, dear friends was named for him, and he passed away a couple of years ago. And my friend's father was Townes' best friend, and like, it's a whole thing, right? Like, it's a very close to home sort of story. So I read those 2 because it would let me judge the quality of the storytelling, and they were very good. The Sun Ra story starts with his birth and goes through how he transformed from Sunny into Sun Ra and the kind of advent of what some people call psycho jazz, but other people call freeform jazz, or what a lot of people call that noise that they play on NPR. But if you're a jazz nut, you know Sun Ra and you can respect Sun Ra. And it kind of works. It kind of talks about how he felt like he wasn't from here, and the curse that is having a level of creativity that the world isn't built to understand yet. That said, the Townes Van Zandt was a very linear storytelling of Townes Van Zandt and the sort of curse that Americana music in its early days sort of carried with it, of drugs and alcohol and outlawism, and this idea that all of these guys were living on the ragged edge, just trying not to die. And it really was a true reflection of Townes. There are other bands in here like the Cramps, and I named some of them the other night, Captain Beefheart. And yeah, it's just sitting around waiting to die. They reference that in the book, Triple B. But, you know, Captain Beefheart and some of these other great bands that maybe are underappreciated. that went through craziness in their lives and in their existence. So I like this in that you could just pick it up and read about an individual band and set it back down and come back to it later. It's not like you have to read it all. So super fun little anthology.
What?
I have been waiting for this since May of last year.
Savage Dragon cameo. Oh. And again, Ronnie Barnes shows folks how it's done. At no point does Savage Dragon's appearance in this feel forced. It feels like he should be there. It did go kind of the misunderstanding the situation route at first. But it's so well written. There's another part of the story with a boy who lives alone except for the thing in his wall he's talking to. His family was killed by vampires, and he has this thing. They don't show it, but it talks to him through like a mouse hole in the wall. Come to find out, whatever this thing is, the kid is feeding it people.
Oh my goodness.
It's not a main part of the story, so it's not like a big spoilery thing or anything. But it's there. It's there. So there's super dope visuals in this one, and that's, oh my goodness. This book is it's so good. Philadelphia is so good. Even without putting these cameo characters in here, this book has been, I don't think I've ever read a bad issue. I've gone back after they did the Spawn one, and I've read some of the stuff I was missing, and it's a solid book all the way through. We end this one in Purgatory where Savage Dragon gets surprised by someone from his past. And I said it last time. I just said it. I'll repeat myself because that's what I do. Philadelphia, this thing is great, not just for the cameos. The art is amazing. Rodney just, oh my goodness. I'm such a mark for Rodney, honestly. I'm such a big fan of his. And I don't know if it's included in the physical issue, but the digital has the continuing Johnny Gatlin comic that he's been writing in the back. I love that story so much. So not only are you getting one great comic, you're getting two for one. Like that's a super sweet deal. If you have never read Philadelphia, I 100% endorse and recommend Philadelphia to anyone, especially with horror lovers. But even if you don't love horror, this is just a great series. Super great.
They do have the first hardcover out there. It just looks gorgeous. It'd be the way I would collect it if you were just like starting, just go in and get the big book.
Yes. Oh, Kyle, you're muted.
I think my hardcover is in my mailbox right now, having just gotten back from Rodney signing my volume 1 hardcover.
Ooh, nice.
That's awesome.
All right, Dead X-Men. Man, I could explain all of the backstory to this, but I'm not gonna because it will make your head explode. All you really need to know, this is part of the fall of the House of X, and it deals specifically with Mariah Taggart, who, if you don't know, is the mutant that started all of the X storylines by sitting down with Prof X on a park bench and explaining that they have lived many, many lives and have seen all the possible futures, and this is how to make mutants the top dog. And that's how they ended up with Krakoa. And now that everything has fallen completely apart, and you have like Captain Krakoa out there, you have the problem of everyone's trying to, how to explain this? Sinister went and through time grabbed different versions of Mariah and made Mariah engines that he's using to go back to have waypoints in time so he can keep doing different versions that benefit him. And so this is Prof X trying to put together a team of anybody that can go back and find the one real live version of Mariah that still exists out there in the timeline. Because all the rest of them are like clones that have been created by him to use as Mariah engines. There's only one real physical body ones out there. So they basically resurrect one of the X-Men teams to go out there and try to go find her against all odds. Because they don't really know which one is her or where. It's crazy good, but so you have to read all of those big long explanations that they have at the very beginning, in the middle, at the end, so you understand all of the how it all links together. You'll get there. You don't have to know anything going in because they're really good about putting that stuff in the book.
Do you have 1 and 2 together, Jay?
No.
Okay. Skip this one and we'll talk about it when we come to number 2.
Okay. So then, let me tell y'all. Y'all thought I was excited about that last book? This one, y'all. Okay. I got to collect my thoughts just a little bit. I was so excited when I saw this.
While you collect your thoughts, I just want to remind everyone this is a Comixology original number 1. So this is a digital first product that will eventually come to your local comic shop by way of Dark Horse Comics. So we're reviewing it now. We will likely review it again when it comes out from Dark Horse. Just know that if you're into it, let your comic shop know now. And then in a few months when it's out, they'll already know. Yes. Did I stall for you long enough?
Yes, you did. Thank you. So this is volume 2. Okay. I remember hearing about this. Now, I saw this, I was like, okay, it's not volume 1, it's volume 2. I'm going to grab it anyway. I am a huge fan of Eris from Variant Comics. He's probably the biggest comic YouTube channel on YouTube. Okay. Eris is awesome. So I was like, you know what?
Not as awesome as the Experience.
Not as awesome as the Experience. No. But I can be fans of more than one thing. But look, literally my only disappointment was the fact that this wasn't volume 1. It's fine. This was so easy to jump into, though. And the art is great. The story is what I like to call not put downable. In fact, I didn't even start writing my notes until after I had finished reading it. So I had to go back through it again, which wasn't that big of an issue for me because I loved it that much. There's also a couple of variant Easter eggs. I thought it was brilliant. I saw them and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Basic, because I don't want to give anything on this away, really. We start out with a guy who's running down a building. He's rappelling, but he's running down. Think like a scene from Mission Impossible or something. And he's being chased. He's fighting these dudes on the way down. Then we have a record scratch moment. I bet you're wondering how I got here. Not exactly like that, but similar to that. And we end up in a flashback. We find out this dude was an army brat. He runs away from the base, gets picked up by this group, gets trained, doesn't know what he's being trained for. And that's where I'm going to leave you. Do yourself a favor. Find volume 1 of this. And when this comes out, or if you have a way to read this, please do, because this was my pick of the week. This was my favorite book.
Noise. All right. So excited about this. I felt like this one just released a couple weeks ago. So maybe it's bi-monthly, the release schedule. So this is book 2 of Avengers Twilight. I freaked out a whole bunch about number 1, which I told everyone was kind of like reading Kingdom Come for the first time. It feels like it's such an important storyline. So the Twilight here is the characters are in their Twilight years. So you have Captain America is an older man, and he has given up the super serum, so he's just a normal fellow. and you meet him, and you get to meet Tony. This is when you know you're not in the real timeline. Tony and Van Dyne's son, who is a big douche, more douchey than Tony ever pretended to be. And Jarvis is literally like running everything behind the scenes. There's a big government aspect to this in which the government is really telling the public all lies, only things that benefit itself. It's all spin, and it's like it's gotten real bad. And so in the first issue, you see Steve like really getting upset. He's run for office to try to like be a positive force in the government and try to tell everybody that things are all sideways. He's like friends with Luke Cage, who is former mayor, as you remember from our storyline. And a bunch of other characters are part of this. In this issue specifically, Steve has taken the super serum again to come back. So everyone's like, oh, he's back. Is that the real Steve Rogers? Yes, it's the real Steve Rogers. And so he and kind of this underground group, which I think is the Defenders, they're trying to work behind the scenes, try to like boost the signal. They try to take the signal and have Steve go live, like you see in movies where like it's only his voice out there. The problem is he goes and he tells everybody the truth all about the government, and no one believes him. It makes it worse than it was before. So other really major things happen in this issue, but if you like kind of like this future does not look good, looks forward to our heroes and to see them try to overcome even worse odds. This is really, really cool because you're going to get to see Tony's douche son do things he doesn't have a suit. That's not what he's there for. So it's interesting, and all the art is amazing. Zdarsky's really knocking it out of the park.
All right, since we don't have a lot of time to go into this, I'm just going to say skip it. Maybe wait for the trade. The Andrea Moody art doesn't really do it any favors in terms of trying to help you understand what's happening if you're reading them a month apart. The plot is not entirely cohesive 2 issues in, but I imagine that from where this book ended, they're tying it all together in the 3rd issue. It's almost like flashes of story rather than one cohesive story. So the way this book ends, I imagine the next book will be, this is how this person knows this person connects to that person, drawing the serial killer lines. But I would say maybe hold off on this one until it comes out in trade.
Oh, baby. All right. This is Distillery's 2nd series, number 2. In the first issue, you've kind of met this main character. I think her name is Abigail. And she lives in kind of I don't know, if you can imagine a town in which they might burn witches. It kind of feels like there's like a main like religious leader, and her husband is actually kind of like the main, or like I'll call him a sheriff. That's not really what it's called, but and she starts having these weird dreams in which they're very sexual, and it feels like there's this male succubus or the devil showing up and tempting her. And she has got a really good friend that they've been friends since childhood, and she finds out that her friend's cheating on her husband, and the main character is having trouble because her husband has gone out of town, so she now doesn't have anybody to like distract her from this thing that shows up anytime she closes her eyes. But it's done in 2 different art stories. So anytime that there is ooh la la in play, it's this really kind of like really dreamy, beautiful, soft art. And then when it's telling regular story time, when she's awake, it has a different, like more comic booky art style. But it's beautiful and gorgeous, but just no, you can't leave it around for your kids to accidentally open. And I can't put it down. So
And we found out this weekend on the EXP Expo that Tula Lote and Becky Cloonan have been working on this story for like a decade.
Oh wow.
So just know that they've worked and worked and worked and worked and worked to get it to be perfect. So
and it does have a feel of like they keep telling us things like they give us like who's serving this role, but I really feel like everybody in town isn't what they seem. I think that they're trying to say that the devil is a devil for sure, but I think there's other stuff going on. So
all right, cool. We are out of time. So comicshoplocator.com, comicshoplocator.com, comicshoplocator.com. See you next time. Bye.